Thank you. Wonderful. So I will get us started here. Good morning and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. And let me make sure that our presentation is on here as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us online as well. It's great to see everyone. Since we last met, we've been particularly busy. Our parents and teacher volunteers have been busy with a number of initiatives. In the wake of Hurricanes Helene and Milton, we were providing groceries. We distributed about $3,000 of groceries to cover storm-related food expenses and food losses. We connected teachers and staff to Country Day World School families who were willing to share everything from housing to cars and anything in between. We facilitated targeted in-kind donations that connected families affected by the storm with families willing to get them exactly what they needed. And then we did a number of campus cleanups. We did a trunk or treat campus cleanup as well as the school-wide campus cleanup. And thanks to Monisha and Linda, who did a wonderful job at trunk or treat.
Yeah. So Linda too. And actually the whole community, it was a challenging event with the hurricanes back to back. We had everything ready to go a month and a half prior to, and then the hurricanes hit, and it was challenging, but I have to say that we couldn't have done it with all the support of all of the team, from the school to the parents to FCD, to the volunteers that were amazing. So I just want to say special thank you for everybody for making that event happen. It was ended up being amazing, and it didn't even seem like there was a hiccup, but there were plenty of hiccups.
Sure. Yeah.
As to any event, but especially with the hurricanes, and I really feel like we needed that time to come together and regroup and just spend some time together. So I'm so happy for all of you guys for joining and helping and doing all of those things. As Natasha said, I'm the co-chair of the social committee. So if you ever want to plan anything with Linda right here, so if you ever want to be involved in any of the social activities that are coming up, please feel free to reach out or volunteer to be in any of our activities. The next kind of social things that will be coming up are our Mustang meetups. We're locking in those dates now. So we'll get you all of that information as soon as we lock it in, which should be in the next few days.
Thank you, Monisha, and thank you as well, Linda, for doing such a wonderful job at Trunk or Treat. They also worked really hard at the campus cleanup afterwards, and all of the volunteers, there were students there in the campus cleanup after the hurricanes allowed us to open hopefully a little bit earlier, and all of those volunteer hours we're going to be recognizing for those students that came. We've got a new community service committee that's going to be providing rewards and a big award ceremony in the spring for any volunteers that did come out, and those students that are volunteering are able to earn hours both in school activities but also out of school, so you can submit their hours that they might be earning outside. Kudos to Kristen Garcia as well, our Teacher Appreciation Committee Chair. She's not able to join us today, but she's been leading a number of outreach events for teachers in the last couple of months. She's distributed treats and obviously the grocery gift cards and collecting surveys with all their favorite items, which is something that Ms. Brown and I had talked about doing years ago so that we can distribute more personalized gifts to those teachers. If that's something that you're interested in participating in, as teacher appreciation is your, the core of your motivation, then please reach out to Kristen. She is going to be doing a number of events in the spring, including our Teacher Appreciation Week, and we'll have a very merry and birthday event during the book fair for teachers. So please reach out to her. She's at FCD-Teacher Appreciation at countrydaylargo.com. There will be additional opportunities for families to sponsor those teacher appreciation events, as well as general sponsorships for events and initiatives. We actually held off on a lot of our sponsorships during this past spring. We were going to launch that, and then the hurricanes happened, and we really didn't want to take any of those funds away from families in need and initiatives in need. So we'll launch that a little bit later on, but if that's something that you're interested in supporting, if anything that you hear today or anything that you see that we've been doing is something that you'd like to support, then reach out to any of our board members, and we can either have you as a family or as a corporation support what we're doing. We also did a clothing donation drive. I wanted to mention that I wanted to thank all the families who supported and who helped with the targeted donations, the uniform drive. All of that has made a huge difference. It helped a lot of families in Country Day World School. And then we also we have those clothes ready to go to Clothes to Kids, which is a local Pinellas County nonprofit that provides families in need, identifies kids in need, and provides those kids directly to them those clothes directly to those kids for free. So now you're going to hear updates and volunteering opportunities from some of our FCD board members, as well as a very special school update from Dr. Ted Gillette and Mrs. Michelle Brown. For everyone attending in person, we will open up the meeting afterwards in order for you to be able to have a discussion and collaboration with all the leadership team, and after all the presenters are finished. If you're joining us online, please feel free to use the chat. We have our secretary, Stephanie Valentine, on there ready to answer all of your questions, or you could always email us afterwards. And Debbie, our Secretary of Communications, will also share that information with you. We're going to start with Colleen Shaw, who is the head of our Neurodiversity Committee, who has been hard at work launching new programs to help students with special needs, thanks to the Paula J. Stewart Foundation, Paula J. Stewart Endowment Fund, which was a gift that we received last year and allowed us to do what you're about to hear, including this event that we have tomorrow for neurodiversity. Colleen, if you could come up, please help me welcome Colleen.
Thank you, Natasha. Okay, so tomorrow we're so excited. We have a speaker series event. So we're going to do a speaker series where there's 3 different speakers. I'll actually be presenting tomorrow, and that'll take place at 5 o'clock here in the Black Box Theater until 5:55. There is some complimentary childcare. Thank you to Michelle and Ted for helping to organize that, and of course Natasha and the whole FCD team. So if you are going to use the childcare, it's only going to be for kids that are at Country Day, and it's going to be just for the hour of the talk. There will be some light refreshments. As far as volunteer needs, like I think on my committee I have 1 helper, and I don't know that I'll need much more to just set up. We're just having some water, Lou's gonna make some flavored water. We'll have a couple platters, so it's fairly easy to set up. But then on December 10th, we're going to have a discussion for the book, The Whole Brain Child by Dr. Dan Siegel. We're going to have 2 opportunities to discuss the book. So if you are planning on coming, it would be great to read it, but there's also going to be sent out soon. We'll be working on sending out some videos that if you don't have time or you just find yourself really busy, we'll have some Dan Siegel YouTube videos and some related content that you can watch to join in on the talk. So December 10th, it'll be at Seminole City Playground right after school. I believe we said like 3:45. I will need some help, so I'm going to plan a neurodiversity committee meeting either next week or probably the week before or after Thanksgiving break. So look out for that time and date. And then we're also going to have a Zoom option for the book talk on the night of the 10th. And then additionally, our free little library has been ordered and should be up in the works too. So also be on the lookout for that, which will have some amazing resources for the parent and FCD community. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone who's here today who would like to sign up for her committee, any other committees, we've got clipboards over here with those volunteer opportunities. You can also make a note in the chat, and Stephanie can make sure that you get signed up as well. Next, I'd love to introduce Mandy Gross, who's going to be representing Amanda Milland for our Community Service Committee.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Mandy, and I'm going to be speaking for Amanda today because she cannot be here, so I'm going to read it so I get her words right. All right, so the Community Service Committee is really getting going, and we're really excited about adding, as Natasha said, the Student Community Service Hour component, which is going to launch soon, and will give our students an ability to go out in the community and make a difference, as well as in our school community. Also, a big event for that committee is the Stampede for Thanks, which is next Friday, the 22nd, from 9 to 11, where the students will run, race, or walk for what they're thankful for. We're going to have parents, you can come and volunteer. We need volunteers, or you can walk with your students, run with your students, or just watch. We're also at that point kicking off the Toys for Tots drive to show our thanks to the community. So bring a toy for the donations to the run, and then it will continue from that. It'll be the kickoff. Please check your emails for the links to apply or reach out to Amanda at FCD-communityservice@countrydaylargo.com. That's FCD-communityservice@countrydaylargo.com. So if you want to join that committee or volunteer, I think there was a link sent out yesterday to volunteer, or email her. They'll also be communicating about the volunteer hour program shortly.
Say the Toys for Tots program is something that's being run by the school, specifically by the student government and Ms. Katie Oldcrow. That is their project. We're doing this event to kick it off and celebrate that. Typically, we do a canned food drive. We being the school does a canned food drive at this time. There was some damage sustained to that food drive facility, and so we're pivoting to Toys for Tots, but we'll continue to support the food drive. That's a school note, but from an FCD standpoint, we're supporting by celebrating the kickoff and having all the kids enjoy this stampede next Friday. So if you're able to come, we'd love to have you. Is everyone here able to hear? Okay, perfect. Andrew, go for it.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. Sorry I can't make it in person. Just wanted to share a brief update on the book fair. So that's coming up after the holidays, starting January 24th, which is a Friday, and then it runs through the end of the month. So we're going to kick off with a planning meeting for any volunteers who are interested in December. So watch your email for that from FCD. And if you have any ideas or want to assist in any way, feel free to reach out to me in the meantime.
Thank you so much, Andrew. The book fair is going to be a big fun event. We're switching
Very
to
excited.
January.
Yeah.
So looking forward to getting started on that very soon. I'd love to introduce Miss Huenke, if you'd like to come on up, and then we'll hear from Dr. Gillette and Ms. Brown.
Hi, everyone. On behalf of the faculty, I just want to start out with some gratitude. We are so appreciative to all the hurricane relief efforts, all of the faculty members that were recognized, whether it be an individual situation or an overall gift card from Publix. That was really incredible, and it just really shows just how big Friends of Country Day can be with what their initiatives are and what their cause is. So thank you. Faculty members enjoyed Trunk or Treat as usual, and the little gift invitation was just the icing on the cake. We even had former faculty members come by, and that just really shows how, deep Friends of Country Day community goes, even past, in different occupations. So it's wonderful to have everyone come back. We were able to take advantage of our professional development day this past week. Our lower school worked with the lead team, and they were trained on phonological awareness and best practices in the science of reading and extensive vocabulary work. Our upper school was able to go to the Florida Council of Independent School Conference in Orlando, and we were able to take specific courses based on the subject matter. I had the opportunity to represent our school and speak on our Montessori-inspired culture and the practices that we have in every single division, along with leadership opportunities that we foster in every division as well. This next professional development training, we will have an active as silent presentation. It's something that will continue with the theme that we've had going forward when we began our prep days for starting school year. Each year we have an active shooter training. So this is going to follow up and just continue to give us more accurate and accurate data so we can have as much information as we can. The most important update is our social committee had our annual bowling night. And, we want to keep our community going. Everything we've been through, we were able to pull off a wonderful bowling night, and congrats to Coach Mike for getting the win. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all for coming and for all of you joining us online. I do have to say I'm a little bit bitter about Coach Mike taking the championship trophy because I was the second runner up there. I was the defending champ from last year, but it is great to have such, the community that we have with you all as parents and students, but also the community that we're able to build within our own faculty just helps us be even that much better for your students in our collaboration. So I just wanted to reiterate a couple points that Ms. Huenke shared. I know she said it beautifully, but I wanted to personally thank the Friends of Country Day and all of the parent volunteers that came with the relief efforts from the hurricanes. It was so appreciated. We couldn't have probably opened when we did if it weren't for that. So thank you again. And I just wanted to say that even though many of us were impacted by the hurricanes, individual families are obviously our Indian Rocks Beach campus, and then the campus here, while disaster can bring hardship, it also can bring a community together. And I do feel that our community is stronger now than it ever has been. And that is shown just in, you know, all of us embracing our Indian Rocks Beach families with open arms. We didn't skip a beat. And we really appreciate all of you embracing our IRB families, your children embracing the new students and teachers in their classrooms. It really just speaks to who we are as a community. So we appreciate that. I just wanted to give kind of a, you know, recap of this first semester as it is already coming to an end somehow, and with some of the highlights and accomplishments of our students and teachers. One thing that we started new this year is a Mustang Award, which stands, Mustang being an acronym, standing for Marvelous, Unique Students and Teachers Achieving Never-Ending Great Success. It is something that we have decided to implement to recognize students that have demonstrated outstanding character, particularly in the competencies listed on our portrait of a graduate. And that first one went to Aiden Dunaway at this past assembly for his leadership on the soccer team. So that's something that any student can be nominated for. So by a parent, by their teachers, by peers. So that's something that the students can look forward to that will hopefully become a longstanding tradition. Some highlights in the arts. We do have 3 students that were selected. Their art was selected, which you can actually see hanging up to the right of this bathroom right here when you go out there. It's phenomenal. It is out of about 230 entries at it's called the Word and Image Middle School Exhibition at the Maureen Arts Center. Out of about 230 entries, they select 70, and this is out of all of Pinellas County schools, as well as private schools, and all 3 that we entered were chosen. So that is a huge accomplishment. It was Brooke Rogers, Aubrey Bennett, and Paisley Frakes. So if you happen to run into them, give them a congratulations. Those will be on exhibit. Miss Franklin will send out an announcement, and we'll get that information out to you if anyone's interested. We also brought back the Junior Thespians. Since pre-COVID, we hadn't done it, but Mr. Berman and Miss Mertens were enthusiastic to bring it back this year. So we had the district event, it was 2 weeks ago, I think, and we did exceptionally well. You know, they didn't really know what to expect. Neither one of them as teachers had done it before, and none of the students had done it either. So it was something that, you know, they prepared the best they could and didn't really know what would come of it, but they actually did very well. So we got top awards in every event that we did. 2 of the events actually took 2nd place overall, and that was Harper Kaczynski, Emma Jenkins, and Manal Ali. And because of how well they placed it, we actually qualified for the state competition. So that will be happening in February in Orlando. So something to look forward to next semester. The athletics program. So just to give you kind of a big picture, you may or may not know our middle school sports teams have joined a new league this last year, actually. We went from the PALS League, which was just, you know, really small private schools, to a new league that includes some of the larger prep and private schools in the area, where we play schools that are we're probably the smallest that we're playing against. And then we're competing against some of these other larger schools that have, you know, more student athletes to kind of compose teams and being very competitive. So our boys soccer team, they went undefeated until the last tournament of the year. And they ended up just losing 1 game in that tournament, 0-1, which on a penalty kick, which was a little bit questionable. So it was phenomenal to see them come together, and some of those, you know, leaders on that team and the emerging leaders is just very exciting and something to look forward to for next year. The girls volleyball team also wrapped up their season, and Coach Jared wanted to make sure I pointed out the amazing camaraderie and teamwork that they demonstrated. I don't actually have their record off the top of my head, but they did very well as well, competing against some of those larger schools. STEM, so we had a successful 9th annual STEM Day. Thank you to all that were able to come and support that. We also have Science Olympiad coming up in February, so that will be the regional competition. And last year and the previous year, we qualified for the state competition. And last year actually placed 4th out of the entire state in one of the events. So it's something that we're hoping to come back competitive again this coming year. Looking ahead to next semester, we do have our international trip coming up. So we'll send a delegation of middle school parents and students to Costa Rica this year. So this will be our Spanish-speaking year in the rotation, and then next year, of course, we'll go back to our Asian rotation, followed by kind of a wild card option the following year. So for those of you that aren't aware, we do that on a 3-year rotation so that students in middle school have the opportunity to experience all 3 of those different types of cultures and countries. And so with that said, I think I will turn it over to Dr. Gillette, who's going to talk about a little bit more about a 2025 vision for next school year. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for inviting me. So not only sharing big vision, but I'll speak to some of the things I get asked about quite a bit. But first, maybe pulling on things that you just heard. So Colleen's comments on neurodiversity. I urge you all to take advantage of these learning opportunities, not just if you, quote, have a neurodiverse child, because that is going away. You know, what you see the trends going on in education and neurology is that we are all neurodiverse. You know, every one of our brains is special and distinct in different ways. So the more that you become attuned to these understandings and how you nurture your child's brain to be all they can be, take advantage of it. You know, it's a great thing. So we appreciate it. You know. And also Claire, you know, sparked where she spoke about some of the teacher training. And some of these are things too, if you think back in the macro trends of education here right now, and I'll jump over to that more explicitly in a moment. But, you know, one thing like that's been happening at a national level the last 2 years has been a lot of controversy over the teaching of reading. And you know, if you follow, there was a gal, Lucy Culkins, who became, she got the whole New York system. I mean, large education systems around the country for the past 2 decades were implementing a reading system, and even though it came out of the University of Columbia, wasn't working. You know, and to distinguish it in simple terms, explicit phonic instruction is the science-supported way of learning to read. And so Claire mentioned about the workshop you had, but something maybe all of you don't realize is, so all of our teachers from primary now through middle that teach English or language, which of course be in a Montessori classroom, all of them, are OG trained. And Orton Gillingham is kind of the category of best practice for explicit phonics instruction. I think, Michelle, I think it's just us and Berkeley, the only ones that have made that level of commitment. Many times what a school will do is they'll have the teachers will do whatever they do, and then they've got some OG trained support. We have that as well, as the needs are higher under our LEAD program. But we believe in bringing it right to the classroom for everybody. Those are things, though, as you follow trends in education. You know, I mean, reading is one of the most difficult, go back to neurodiversity, and reading is one of the most difficult things for the human brain to do. You know, we learn to speak easily listening, but now when you have to make that connection to a printed something and make that connection, that's very complicated. Some kids' brains pick it up very quickly, but not others. And so anyway, enough on all that. I was just caught by the topics you guys chose, and it's very relevant to, you know, big things and what's going on. So let me jump over probably the area that I get asked about a lot right now is all of the economics or scholarship programs and what's going on with all this with the state of Florida. Where's it going to go? And it's been wonderful for so many of you. To refresh you very quickly, so the state scholarship programs that had started out as simply to help either a need-based family be able to have options for private education, and or one with a, quote, special needs, neurodiverse. Again, we don't like that identification, but nonetheless had funding for that. That all evolved in over the past 2 years to where any any family in Florida for K through 12 can get a scholarship for their child. And they're typically in the 8,000 range. They vary by county. I'm sorry, am I moving around? So they, and these, and then there's more if the child has additional educational needs. Well, we've been working very closely with the organizations for this. There's two major groups. You hear the term Step Up the most. That is not a part of the state of Florida. That's an independent administrator that administers the scholarships. And then AAA is the smaller of the two. Step Up administers the vast majority of all of them. And we've built a very close relationship with Step Up. The head of this region has been here touring. In fact, she's next week, they're bringing their whole team to our school and using our school as a model for a team to kind of see a private school, see how it's working and that kind of thing. But, big questions that come up, and now that an election is behind us and there's talks like dismantling Department of Education, gosh, what does that mean? And then, all these different things. These are things that I get asked quite a bit. So first, the state scholarship program is a little, it's eye-opening because it's hitting about a $4 billion cost for the state this year. So, we're very happy. It's helping you all, and there's many, many good things to that. But of course, the big question becomes, okay, how is that even sustainable? 70% of it is tax dollars. About 30% is corporate tax credits they can donate, and that goes to some of you do them. You'll hear the Florida Tax Credit Scholarship and the PEP. Those are corporate funded through they getting the tax credits. But the rest are tax dollars. So of course, what does that mean? Well, gee, does it get slashed? Does it stay? Do they keep it going? And no one really knows. But I think now, with the regardless of your political affiliation, the trends that are now in place is Florida is actually being touted as the model, and so it's not likely to be unwound for at least the foreseeable future. And as you can see, these kinds of programs, once you've had them for a while, it would be politically very difficult to just take it away. Now, the amounts could get adjusted because the legislature each year has to say, okay, we have 300,000 students and we've got to fund these. How much can we afford to give per student? And that's, those of you who've done it, that's why you realize they don't even give you the exact amount until somewhere in the summer heading to the school year, because they haven't done the math yet to see, what they've got and how that's going to add up. Bless you. So we for Country Day, where do we fit into that? So we always want to be there to accept programs that can help our families, and we want to try and help administer them responsibly. The programs have been a little lumpy as they've tried to roll them out. That sometimes, we're desperately waiting on them to pay, and then, but it's okay. Eventually it all comes together that way. So it's good for our school families and likely not going anywhere. Big picture, what's happening though is it's really challenging right now for the public school systems. And we do care about that. They're part of the whole educational ecosystem, and many of our families matriculate then to like a public high school magnet program as an example, or things like that, because they're losing kids, so their enrollment. So then that FTE causes them a loss of the money they get, and then if you take it all the way back to the movements, let's dismantle the federal Department of Education. That's easier said than done, so I wouldn't hold your breath on any massive things there. But at the same time, the direct impact of many of these things roll downhill to the public school systems themselves. And similarly at the state level, as they have to balance the budget, the dollars, to do $4 billion for scholarships, less money is going to the public school systems. and then charters. So understand charters are kind of that hybrid. So you got the traditional public school system under each Pinellas County board. And then you have private independent schools such as ourselves. You have private religious schools. You have then charters that kind of sit in the middle. They are a hybrid of public-private. So they are working off of the same budget essentially of a public school. When you water down the math of how they do it, they do get some of the participation of grants to help for their facility and so forth. So they though are, they're supposed to be nonprofit, but 90% of the country are actually run by for-profit management companies that are kind of hidden behind the scene. And so they along with public are going to struggle financially right now because they're not being given enough money to do the job you really need to do. I mean, it's just, they're not. And you have a lot of good people out there in the public school system there, but it's unfortunately underfunded. So anyway, that's kind of, we don't see any big changes, but we'll be right there and try to be helping support you guys through these things. There are, for those of you who don't realize also, back to, again, the broader interpretation of neurodiversity is there are also state scholarships that are available for your pre-K. They're depending on the need. So, such as a speech language need, such as a variety of things. So, certainly encourage all of you to, not leave funds on the table that are available to you. Gosh, they can be helpful to you in many ways. Yes, I think those were maybe main topics. Who knows where some of the directions everything goes out there. One comment I would make too is because we do get asked, and it's in the editorials right away, of course, in the past week or so, is technology and education. We try to stay clear on what we're doing and under Michelle's leadership. But just keep you updated. Our view on technology is it's very important for our kids to be fluent in the use of technology for their own research, production, etc. Starting mostly in 4 through 8. So the idea is the importance still of the power of Montessori of hands-on learning. I mean, we do, of course, as you know, in lower L, we have iPads and available for research, but the big focus on technology moves up. And the reason I bring this up because it's out there now. So where does Elon Musk fit into the ecosphere of everything? So we'll see. It's one big movie we're going to watch together. But he started his own school in Texas. There's one in California, and not shocking, of course, it's very tech centric there. But it's actually quite Montessori, the way he looks at things. But my question, I guess, just to circle back, is many ask, okay, well, AI, and where does this all work? Where are we in all of this? And a person like that is always going to be thinking of, well, we can simplify education. Schools have too much clutter in them, and more tech and less teachers or whatever. You might narrow that down. So we're going to stay ahead of it all, and smart integration of AI there, but and distinguishing, we are all about Montessori, but I think as you all understand, at this campus we do Montessori up through grade 3 deliberately, but we have a lot of respect for Montessori pedagogy or method of education up through our 4 through 8, but that's where like Orthodox Montessori would be very low on tech, all the way up that way. So we are quite a think outside that. So sorry, I'm already just babbling along. I realize I'm using more time than I should have. But anyway, I hope that's helpful, any of those, or if you have any questions, happy to. And I'm so impressed with the Friends Country today, I have to tell you. I mean, You know, I'm an old guy and I've seen them over the years and various iterations. And you guys are so impressive and we're so appreciative.
We really couldn't do it without you. So thank you for all of your support. And I will say, I ran into Ted while we were getting ready for trunk or treat, and he was so helpful to, first of all, carry all the hay bales with me as we were getting all set up, and then was, you know, sharing so much about everything he's doing around campus. There were so many. This was just in the straight aftermath of the storms, and he was doing so much in terms of, you know, repairs to everything in primary and across campus, and just really cares so deeply about every little detail around campus. And so thank you for that. I don't know if you want to speak to any of the work that you've done around campus since the storm, and I know that there have been so many updates and repairs that you've been working on. Is that something that you'd want to share? I know that that's what we had talked about as well.
And so we're constantly relooking at the campuses, but this campus is you know, how we can get up and running quicker, you know, coming through something like that. And of course, in the instance of storms while we're still here, because of course there's storms where we're closing down, but there's storms that do hit real time. So always looking out for the safety of the children and the whole community, and making sure we're ready for those things. There's you know, drainage is a big thing on all of these campuses. Fortunately, this whole property, as you know, in Pinellas County is on a ridge, so we're very high. So we benefit from all of that there, contrary to our IRB campus, unfortunately, which is not a ridge, being out on the beach. So it was quite devastated and from the surge. But we are, maybe just keep in mind, so as we're always like heading into 2025, is we're always looking, you can be assured we're constantly reinvesting in the campus. You know, I'd always like to see it going further and faster, but please know we're not sitting on our hands. We meet every week and talk about what we should prioritize and work on. And taking it really the big picture, I mean, some of the things that, you know, we really want to do is almost more of a master plan, you know, for the campus, because as many of you know, we own the property that is right behind primary 1 and 2. And we use that right now as sort of our accounting and back office piece. It was the home there, but it's a full acre property. And you know, accounting whatever we can work out of a car somewhere is no problem. But so it's all about really the kids and everything. But the other big thing is constantly has our attention. We talk about is how can we have it be safe for cars, which is getting them off of 131st faster and easier to get on and off 131st. And one of the macro plans is it just takes a while getting all these things approved, and our pieces of property, oddly, some are City Largo, some are unincorporated county. So there's two different bosses we answer to there. But anyway, you could see if we use that property hypothetically, and we had a different way for cars to come into the campus there, and eventually then connect North and South Campus there, then we could. There's many more things we could do to get cars off of 131st easier and have a more consolidated access egress point we are talking to the county and City Largo all the time, trying to get this to be a school zone where it's slowed way down. You would be, I mean, it's like sticking needles in my eyes trying to get through the bureaucracy of these things. But anyway, so I think trying to look at these different things, and as you have thoughts and ideas, because we don't pretend to be the experts in everything, please bring them forward to your leadership or whatever, because we want to hear them.
Thank you so much.
I will say that they some of the other services that they're offering, including what Claire mentioned, some teacher training, which is, again, we do undergo an intense hands-on active shooter training at the beginning of every school year. This is a little bit, that's from Largo PD. This is coming from the Pinellas County Sheriff. So this will be a little bit different, and we'll just enhance what we, already know as far as how to respond to an active threat. So that will be happening next Friday. Today, we actually have some of our team members in training at a facility on more preventative, how to prevent some of these, threats, if you will, or concerns with students and things like that. So focusing a little bit on mental health and early signs and that kind of thing. So it's an ongoing initiative, and we're so thankful that the sheriff's office has, brought this to the private sector. So really, that's again, no real information to share from the assessment yet, but once we have it, we'll have more to share. Yeah.
And then an update with the IRB campus. What's happening there?
You want to speak to that?
So the IRB campus right now, we completed the required tear out and cleanup there. But wow, it's so much more than we had ever thought. For those of you who may not be aware, so we took in at the outside doors about 3.5 feet, and then inside it was probably 2.5 to 3 feet. So the level of destruction, unfortunately, because the water then it seeps up the drywall, so you're ripping out all the walls, you're ripping out, with just old Montessori materials, and you can't. With the beauty of the wood Montessori material is wonderful, but you can't truly re-clean those because this water's considered class 3 water because it's sewage mixed in with it, so it's considered contaminated, so everything's got to go. So anyway, right now it's in a gutted state, and so in fact I'm heading back out there right now to meet with different contractors, but City of Indian Rocks is not issuing permits yet. Right now they're pausing. It's complicated by many of you might be aware of. There's like this 50% FEMA rule too, which can dictate much more reconstruction than you might have planned for or insured for. I mean, we have flood insurance, but so to answer your question, the soonest we see getting it open is it's nothing quick, but so it is unlikely that we get it open during the school year would be my expectation, and looking at timelines required for permitting and construction and so on. We're talking to there's the church called Kadi behind us, which the history of school, we bought the school from them. We don't have any affiliation programmatically or anything like that, but they happen to have built it originally as a mission church, and we bought it. And so we've been in communication with them, and they are, and theirs is just wiped out there. So everybody's kind of dealing with like, what do you do? Which is an interesting head scratcher, by the way, though, because many of you probably enjoy the restaurants on IRV. I do. We're still trying to figure out, because some of the restaurants open in a few weeks. I'm like, well, I guess that's great, but health department permits, all the cleanup we're going to go through, and child care licensing. Like, whatever. Hope the food's okay. Anyway, but that's status of it is don't know yet there. But and thank you, Friends Country Day, for accommodating IRB parents, and it's nice that we've been able to accommodate everybody here.
I should note we did add on a new board member that I was actually going to mention. Melissa Garand is our new IRB. She's director of the IRB campus and also the IRB representative now on the FCD board. So she's helping to guide us in terms of how we can continue to work together on that. Wendy, did you have a note as well?
I was going to follow up on the mental health. I had a question about the mental health resources on this campus and whether there is a counselor. I know like last year they talked about that a little bit at the parent nights, but then it wasn't talked about this year. And I was just sort of wondering, like, is there a permanent person? What is the qualifications of that person? What is the communication to the students about the availability of that person?
Sure. So we have Liz Southern is her name. She's a part-time counselor. She came from New York public school system as a certified school counselor there. She's retired, but with us now. So she goes and introduces herself to all the students, all the classrooms really in the upper school at the beginning of the year. So they know who she is. She regularly is just, checking in. She'll go out at lunch and interact with the students so that they feel comfortable with her. And so usually we'll start a conversation with the parents, you all, before we would ever have, a one-on-one. But she is available to any student that, feels that they need someone to talk to. She can only go so deep, of course, if she feels that a child could benefit from, you know, a little bit deeper dive, then she would make that recommendation to you. But yes, she's qualified. She's been with us for, I don't even know, many years. Yeah.
So how, like, if you wanted your child to be seen, how do you go about, do you just use a directory and email her directly?
Yeah, you can email her or you can go through the classroom teacher to
Okay.
connect you with Miss Southern.
What if so you mentioned like, oh, you know, you talk with the parents first. What if a student wants to just talk with her?
They're welcome to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you ever don't want that, though, we want to respect that too. So yeah, it's kind of a balance there. But we have students daily asking to just check in with Miss Southern. So yep, they have access to her. Again, she is part-time, so.
And I'm going to call up Debbie to close us out. Thank you to everyone who's been volunteering, and thank you so much for coming and speaking for us.
Thank you everyone for coming. If you have any questions or comments, you can send them to FCD hyphen communications or president@countrydaylargo.com. And also, please, if you're here in person, please join us. We can still keep talking, ask questions. You can come up to any one of us and offer to volunteer or ask about opportunities, events, any questions or concerns you might have. And we'll see you back here in 2-3 months.
Or tomorrow, if you can come to the Neurodiversity.
For the meeting, I meant.
Yes.
For another
2
one
months.
of these
Yeah.
meetings. And tomorrow, Neurodiversity, don't forget, next week we have a lot of events. And I'm Debbie, by the way. I'm in charge of communications. Bye.